Welcome to Pacific Northwest Mike Check, where Mike Connolly, owner of Windermere Real Estate Central Inc. in Kirkland, shares his lifetime of experiences as a successful businessman, real estate broker, and Pacific Northwest enthusiast. Throughout this podcast, Mike will be interviewing passionate experts in the industry who will give you a new perspective on the world of real estate, business, and life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode podcast number 4 of Pacific Northwest Mike Check. I am Mike Connolly with Windermere Real Estate in Kirkland, and please meet my co-host, Ms. Sophia Nixarian. Sophia, welcome.
Hello. Hi. Thank you. Episode number 4, the last episode of 2020. I can't believe it.
I know. Went by fast.
Yes, it did. Exciting stuff. Well, if you have been tuning into our podcast, you know that every episode we have a piece of advice from Mike, and we call it Mike Check. So an ode to the name of our podcast. So what kind of advice do you have for us this month, Mike?
Well, it's the same advice that I've been talking to my brokers about, especially the last few days. We're getting to be almost a week past election, and that was quite a time. And my advice to my folks is that very divisive time, leaving politics out of it entirely. But my advice is looking forward, and my suggestion is that let's work on progress and not perfection.
Yeah, that's great advice, especially at the year end, especially the year we've all had.
Quite a year.
Looking forward, 2021, looking forward. That'll be our motto.
Exactly. New year.
Yes. Okay, well, that takes us to the next portion of our podcast, which is called Open Mic. This is a chance for you listeners to submit your questions. They can be really about anything: real estate, entrepreneurship, anything about the Pacific Northwest. And Mike here will answer those questions. So you can submit these questions on our various social media channels, as well as our YouTube channel. And we'll get to it on our next podcast. So the first question that someone submitted today is, in your opinion, what is the best time of year to buy a house?
That question is in the days of yore, it would have been automatically, well, the springtime's the best. That's when homes look their best, and that's the greatest amount of inventory out there. But over the course of the last many years, with such significant shortage, unless you just absolutely have to have a house at this moment, of course, that would be the time to buy a house, right? But if you can stay close, and I would have to say this to your real estate broker, then times like this right now, we've never seen interest rates like this. What a time to buy a home. And it looks like we're experiencing still double-digit appreciation with homes. So now, together with, we'll probably have more expensive homes next year, low interest rates. It's a good time right now.
That's great. That's great. So this question came from someone that says, I know someone who is looking to transition to real estate, which is actually our topic today. Great question. And they said that your office would be a great fit. How would someone go about getting started with Windermere Kirkland? So what are the steps they would take?
Yeah. So first step is a very, very informal interview with me, and a discussion of background, and just like we're going to talk today with Samantha, she and I went through the same process of, to me, the first thing is the fit between the person that's interested in real estate and Windermere Kirkland and myself, because it's a really, really important bond in terms of getting a real estate business started. So it starts there, and second step is to meet one of my mentors. I have a very robust mentor program in my office. So it's really a 2 to 3 step process. The last is come to a meeting and see what it feels like. Today it's Zoom meetings, right? But come to a meeting, see what it feels like, and over the course of those three visits, we answer a lot of questions and see if it's the right fit.
Yeah, well, that's great. And finding the right fit is really important. And
really important.
It's incredible to see too. Your office is growing. Every month there's new brokers joining. So if anyone out there is interested in pivoting or changing offices, Windermere Kirkland is growing.
We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, we're going to get to our interview portion, Getting Real with Samantha Enos. And Mike mentioned that she is a new broker who pivoted from a previous career to real estate. So we're really excited to ask her some questions.
Looking forward to it. Let's go. Very, very excited to introduce you to Samantha Enos. Samantha Enos is a broker in our office, and I'm just going to start, Samantha, with some questions. You ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. So you've been helping people buy and sell real estate for 1 year now. And let's start out with, what business were you in before? And what was the driver for the career change?
Yeah, so prior to coming into real estate, I was doing talent acquisition. And a lot of people understand it best as saying I worked for a staffing company. And that's where we're finding people jobs, or for companies, we're finding them talent. And I did that and decided there's a lot of turnover or transition in that industry. And after this last turnover and transition, I thought I'd follow my passion, which has always been real estate. And it was a great time for me to just jump in with both feet and made the change.
Fantastic. And you have done well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's amazing. So from that previous career, what would you say are some of the skill sets that really helped you build your business within this first year?
Yeah, so for on the sales side, a lot of what I did was business development and working with companies. It's really going through different various sales cycles with them. So on the sales side, I think I was able to apply that skill set, and it translated really well with real estate. But more importantly, it was just serving people. So on the recruiting side, I'm helping people find jobs. So there's this trust and confidence that they have in your abilities there. And that portion I was able to take on into real estate and helping people find houses. So it kind of worked on both ends, being able to find houses, work with people, and just building that trust with them was a big skill set to be able to carry over.
Yeah, trust is really important when you're looking for a realtor, buying a home. That's a big component of it. What would you say is the most productive thing you do to create business?
Doing what comes naturally, just spending time with my friends, spending time with my family, and being my authentic self. I think a lot of times it's a lot different than what I thought it was going to be when I started. I thought it was more about talking about real estate all the time, but instead it's just talking about what matters to people all the time, especially right now with everything that's going on with COVID. Just checking in with people, seeing how they're doing. A lot of my time is spent just showing I care and showing up consistently, doing the same things over and over again has been a big factor for me.
So, Samantha, walk me through your first 12 months and share some of the lessons that you learned along the way.
Absolutely. The first 12 months, and definitely a lot has taken place within those 12 months. A big thing for me was getting my database together, really working and focusing on that, and just having some time to wrap my arms around who belonged in my database, or at least how I would attract people into my database. So getting those things together, creating a plan around my business, making sure I could be consistent to it. So making some type of outreach, either through note cards, conversations, and just meeting with people on a consistent basis. And then following up on all of my business that I might have going, either with buyers or with sellers, and making sure I'm keeping in touch with everybody. That's been pretty much what's been driving me over the last 12 months.
And Samantha, those note cards, those phone calls, they're not necessarily real estate related, are they?
No, they're just really asking, how are you doing right now? Which is so easy and so natural to do during COVID, just checking in with people. I've got friends from former neighborhoods that I lived in. Great example. My mom made face masks as COVID broke out. And her goal was just to make a ton of face masks. And I just reached out and asked a lot of my old friends or neighbors, do you need any face masks? And I would just mail face masks to them. But it kept me top of mind. It was a natural, authentic thing to do. But at the same time, it kept me in touch with people. And I would often get by the way, I hear you're doing real estate right now. Perhaps you can help me with, or how's the market doing here? So it would create a conversation, but truly it was just to easily ask a question of how are you doing? So that's what the note cards are really about, or a lot of the conversations. It's not about talking about real estate, but it's just checking in with people, and the flow naturally goes there. And I think that's a lot easier.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that mentality of, hey, just checking in. So what, in your opinion, in your experience, some of the best or worst investments in time or money?
I can say for sure the best investment of time is focusing on the database and making those leads come across naturally. And it took me a little while to really understand what that meant. I think I first thought my database was, oh, I just have to call my friends and my families and tell them I sell real estate. And I have to think about those people that are probably going to buy real estate right now. And I could not have been more wrong about what the true need or purpose of that database is. This is really getting people who understand you, know you, like you, and trust you, and putting those people in a database, not because they're going to necessarily buy real estate right now, but maybe they know somebody who will. And if you're doing what you are supposed to do or keeping in touch with these people, chances are they're really going to advise you. That is really the best investment of my time, is really focusing on my database. Worst investment of my time was kind of going out and trying to find leads on a different path, and it's just it really didn't bear any fruit. So I would say focusing on my database is probably the best investment of time a person can make.
And that's a really good answer, and that's the life we live, right, in our world, at least the way we do it, and which kind of goes on to the next question, and the answer may be the same. It's always interesting to hear what the aha in the first year of your practice, what an aha moment was.
You know what? That was my aha moment. It was my database. It was really understanding how to build it and how to explain. I guess it was more for myself. More understanding what the database really meant to me. It wasn't about, I guess, in my mind, I was fearful of approaching my friends and my family and letting them know I wanted to, put them in my database or keep in touch with them about real estate, because it would be a little more standoffish. And I think it was my own fears that I was having, and not the fears of my families and friends of doing something like that. So really relying on that database is a lot, because again, you're surrounding yourself by those people who know, love, and trust you. And building it out that way goes a lot further than any other way. That's for sure.
And I think it's a great way to come to work, right? In terms of, we don't have to think about who am I going to sell to today. It's just all about who we're going to serve today and how can I help them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I would agree.
Yeah. So here's a question with regard to just getting started in our office anyway. Education's a huge priority. We put a lot of emphasis in the first month or two into training and knowing systems and so on. The question is, what courses were you, man, I'm so glad that's done. And what courses would you say, man, I'd love to go through that again?
I would say the course that I am glad is done was the ProDev, our ProDev ProStart. And I think it's a twofold. I'm glad it's done because I needed it so I could feel like I could hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. I wanted to complete that particular course because I didn't know anything about truly being a real estate agent. And I thought they did a really good job of providing the basis. And this was using actual Windermere agents that taught each of these classes. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of information. It was like drinking from the fire hose that first week when you go in there. It's a lot that you're covering. You're covering being an agent on the buyer side. You're also covering being a listing agent. You're going into forms that maybe you've never seen before. For me, I certainly hadn't, and just really learning about that. So it was a lot, and I was so happy to be done with it because I felt like I could grab my briefcase and go out and be an agent. So it was a lot to take in, but it really was good to be done with it because it was what I needed to get the foundation of being an agent.
Yeah, great answer.
Your second was, what course what education would I want to do all over again? And for sure, I would say it's Ninja selling. It was amazing. There were people in that course from all over who had come to take these Ninja classes. And what those are, it's really training for real estate agents, I would say. But I would say any sales environment, anytime you're approaching sales, it's just a different way of thinking about sales. I met a lot of great agents that I'm still in touch with regularly, and just consistently following my Ninja path, where we talk about doing my note cards. That's part of the Ninja training that I do. Who am I going to serve today? That's part of the Ninja mentality. That was one where I'm actually looking forward to the next time I can do it, because it just keeps me focused on what I want to do and how I choose to serve the public every day.
Yeah, and I hear that over and over again, and especially coming from somebody that's been in business for a long time and just in a professional quote unquote sales environment, they come out of that saying that was life changing in some ways.
In a lot of ways, there were certain things that I did from my 23 years doing sales prior to coming into real estate, and I would do them consistently. And some of them were pretty much out of the Ninja playbook, where I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Or even more importantly, I had been doing something for 23 years and I should have been doing it differently. So it was really great to be in that class and just getting the perspective for other agents as well. Just brought a lot of, I guess, kind of helped create the type of agent I want to be.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you started your career pre-pandemic. And then as things started to pivot, before the pandemic hit, you were building a lot of business through meeting buyers and sellers at open houses. So how did you pivot your business once the stay-at-home order started? And what did that look like for you?
The first, not knowing how long that was going to last, I really focused the first couple of weeks on, all right, let me step back a little bit, maybe get some designations behind my belt, maybe focus on myself more as an agent of what I'll be able to offer. But when I saw the signs where it wasn't going to change at all anytime soon, I had to start bringing the crowds to me. So one of the first things that I did was created a social distancing neighborhood gathering where people would come in my driveway, and it was just a neighborhood happy hour. And what started off with just 2 houses turned into 3 houses and grew into 5 houses. And every Saturday we would meet in my driveway and we would have a happy hour that would last for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it was great because I could just talk to my neighbors, and all of us needed to get out of the 4 walls of our house and have some sense of normality. And it was just a natural thing to do, but it quickly turned into a, hey, Samantha, how's the real estate market doing? And each and every week that question came up. And sure enough, I was able to get referrals from that. Looking at other virtual tools, I was a book club. I joined a book club, and that was with a couple of neighbors and then a couple of friends that we added in. And every week we would talk about the book that we were reading. And sure enough, hey, Samantha, how's the real estate market going? And started seeing referrals from that. So it just really turned how I was able to reach. What changed is how I was able to reach out to people. So I do probably 3 virtual I would say, gatherings a week. Plus, I still do my happy hour social distancing. Rather, the weather's about to change, so I don't know how much we'll continue to do that in the driveway. But it's just finding different ways to connect with people and just really using those virtual tools a little more consistently, I think, is what's important.
I think you may have to shift to happy hours tailgating for Seahawk football.
I might have to do that. That's actually a good point.
So if there is anyone out there who's listening who is considering changing their career, pivoting their career and getting started in real estate, what's some advice that you would give to those people?
Jump in with both feet. I often thought about entertaining real estate as a career, and I felt like it was never the right time. And then as soon as I saw the opportunity to do it, or I would say the career change happened where I'm like, oh, I don't have this job anymore. I wish I had started earlier. So I would just tell people, jump in with both feet. Have conversations with people that you know, or, if there's a conversation that you would have to have with me, I'm happy to talk to people. But I would just say really embrace it and just jump in with both feet.
Samantha, at the end of the podcast and great discussion today, we've got 2 signature questions that we ask each and every one of our guests. And the first one is, what does the Pacific Northwest mean to Samantha Enos?
Mountains, water, and home. I'm actually from Chicago, from the Midwest, and I never understood the beauty of mountains until I got here. So I would say the mountains, the water, it's home for me. So that's what it means to me.
Outstanding. Just like a lot of Northwesterners, right?
I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. This feels good to be here.
That's great. Okay. And our last question for you today is, if you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
All right. So this is where, my honesty and my 80s comes out. It would be Duran Duran, and it would have to be Electric Barbarella. And I don't know what it is about that song, but it gives me energy. And if I had to listen to that for the rest of my life, I think I'd be okay.
That's
now I've got
great.
to go back and listen to that.
I'm sorry. I'll apologize early.
Okay. I got to tell you, I really, really enjoyed having you as our guest today. And of course, I enjoy you every day. We get to work together every day. So happy to have you on board today and wish you a great rest of your day.
Great. Well, guys, thanks for having me. It was good to be here.
Thank you to Samantha and to Mike for an incredible episode number 4 of Pacific Northwest Mike Check. Thank you so much to all of our listeners. We're so excited to have wrapped up 2020 with such a great podcast episode.
Yeah, thanks, Sophia. And Samantha, thank you very, very much for being on board today. Appreciate your time and your information with regard to what it was like in that first year.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Well, you can tune in to Pacific Northwest Mike Check every first Wednesday of the month. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Subscribe, rate us, give us a listen, and we're excited for our next year of podcasts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Pacific Northwest Mike Check. Tune in every first Wednesday of the month to learn something new about real estate, business, and life.